I finally got to finishing up Keep It Spinning. If you haven't watched my previous devlog, I made a game for a game jam where you pretty much had to chuck a bunch of vinyl records like a frisbee at not one, not two, but one boss. I didn't have time to add anything else I wanted because I thought I had all the time in the world with a whole month to make my game rather than like, I don't know, an hour. Wait, when was that? Oh my god, it's already been 6 months. A sizable portion of that time was spent working on the first devlog and the vinyl collection video, and I only now got to finishing the game. I would have just got everything done right after the game jam, but I don't want to leave my YouTube channel completely dead for months on end, as if I don't already do that. I wanted the game to have at least 3 boss fights, a rework of a lot of the menus, and some form of a tutorial, which is what I started on first. I was initially debating on whether or not I should make it entirely interactive or just shove a wall of text down the player's throat. I think you can tell which one I went for. The wall of text, of course. Nah, I'm kidding, I went for the interactive tutorial. Honestly, it was pretty fun to work on aside from this giant blueprint which pretty much stores an index that goes up whenever the player progresses through the tutorial. That index is in charge of deciding what is shown to the player and executing what the tutorial is supposed to do next. I also made an entirely new environment for the tutorial. I wanted to make some sort of stage with like scaffolding and stage lights everywhere. I probably got subconsciously inspired by those tutorial sections in Hi-Fi Rush, which are also set inside a stage. I went for this purplish look cause I think it looks clean and professional while still at least being unique. As for the boss in the tutorial, I couldn't think of anything else while looking at my Blender viewport, so I would like to introduce you to Sir Gimbal. Anyway, for the music, I made it myself in this VR music creation app called Virtuoso. It's great for anything you want to make in some like synth or vaporwave style. I would recommend it. After I got the tutorial finished, I went ahead and added a boss select screen I've been wanting to add. I was going to have it be a separate button from the play button, but decided not to because both do pretty much the exact same thing, but one takes you through every single boss and the other lets you choose which one you want to fight. I personally think this turned out pretty well. It actually feels somewhat polished and doesn't feel like it'll shatter into a million pieces at the smallest misinput. Next, I took like a month-long break to work on the vinyl collection video. You guys want to... I also wanted to redo some of the menus, like the main menu and the game over screen. I found that the ones I have now just look kind of bland and unpolished, so I kind of fully leaned in on that whole purple thing we saw in the tutorial. I took some inspiration from Discord's graphic design in their recent UI overhaul, which uses this somewhat purple cell shading with gradients in the background, and that's how you know I have no life. I also redid the boss intros for the same reasons as before, and so the player won't have to press a button twice just to get into the boss fight. I also thought it'd be cool to change the color of the splash screen based on the boss the player is going to be fighting. In this case, the audio file would be green, another boss would be blue, and another one would be, I don't know, pink. Now, speaking of bosses, now it's time for the other 2 bosses. The main thing I promised would be in the first version of this game, but completely missed. At this time, summer break just started, so I was able to work on the game a lot more often. One of the bosses I wanted to add was Sailor Whift, who is totally not meant to parody any other ridiculously overrated pop artist. I started off by creating her model after setting up the whole level. I want to keep the boss designs relatively simple since they're all going to be far away from the player anyway, and having more detail would just create too much visual clutter in one spot. For Sailor Whift, I essentially just went with white blonde girl with pink dress and microphone. Basically Taylor Swift, I mean, come on! I did also want her animations to be super exaggerated and sassy, like she wants to show off the best of herself to anyone she possibly can with these overly confident poses and actions. For one of her attacks, I made an audience surrounding Sailor Whift that not only sells that her life is a living nightmare, but she also has thousands of loyal fans that are willing to chuck rocks at anyone they slightly disagree with. Yes, this is actually one of her attacks, but the audience will be constantly throwing rocks at the player instead of only doing so when she's done with another attack. I had 2 different ideas for the third boss I wanted to add. Warning Sisters LLC, totally not mocking a giant corporation who owns like a third of the music industry, or Beethoven playing Dance Dance Revolution, totally not a reference to the hit 2014 children's animated DreamWorks film Mr. Peabody and Sherman. I would just do both, but I want to get this game done with already. I have other stuff I want to work on. If you watched my first devlog on Keep It Spinning, you know that I was originally planning on adding Warning Sisters as a boss, but now that I have the chance to really think about it, Beethoven absolutely going at it on DDR sounded a million times more fun to work on rather than a mockery of how much we rely on giant companies for basic entertainment. Also, I am sincerely sorry to admit that the Beethoven boss fight does not have an EDM remix of Beethoven's hit single Symphony No. 5 in C minor. Alright, I tried looking online, but a lot of the stuff I saw didn't really fit the game, so if you have anything I could use, put it down in the comments, please. And I'm aware the idle animation is literally just Beethoven T-posing. I did make an idle animation, but for whatever reason, whenever I try to import it into Unreal, the animation sequence is like 2 frames long and Beethoven doesn't even move. I have no idea how I'm supposed to fix this. You do not want to know how many Google searches I've made and how many times I've tried re-importing the same file. This is driving me insane. I'm gonna be honest, I kinda got lazy while working on Beethoven's boss fight. Especially when compared to Sailor's level, which actually kinda plays with the fact you can't move, this is nothing. I realized that this is effectively a reskin of the Audiophile's boss fight, with literally the exact same attacks but shorter. But like, I just want to get this project over with already. If you don't know, I started working on Keep It Spinning all the way back in January, and I'm only now finishing it in what, mid-June? I know this is really stupid, but there's something off-putting about having to work on a single project for an extended period of time. What I thought I would get done in a single month took me half of the year 2025. Sure, I took a couple breaks in between to work on some videos, but I still feel uneasy having to worry about a single project for so long. There's a comment I found on r/gamedev while writing this part of the video actually, that describes this really well. The original post was asking, what's something about game dev that nobody warns you about? And this guy responds with, putting years into a passion project. You can be 24 when you start, 6 years and countless evenings spent, you're 30, and the game is realistically never gonna release. I dropped my passion project after 3 or so years because I was working full time, then spending a lot of my nights working on my game. I have an amazing dog who I love spending time with and wanted to release a game to have some extra money to put towards a house with a backyard for me and him. 3 years is 30% of his good active years. That's 3 years of spending a lot of evenings I could have spent playing with or just enjoying that time with him rather than finally getting that backyard but with a dog too old to play in it. I don't want that happening to me. I don't want to waste my entire life just sitting here doing this. I already wasted a year working on Metro Meltdown, which is a quite ambitious VR game I eventually got burnt out over and scrapped the entire project. And for Best Way to Kill a Game, I spent virtually all my free time after school for months on end just editing it, and I won't lie, I kinda regret it. It feels like time just speeds the hell up whenever I'm literally not looking anywhere else other than my laptop. That's why I've been trying to limit myself to only working on a given project for around 2 hours a day. Sure, it seems counterintuitive as it'll take me much longer to get something done, but it still gives me enough time to do and think about anything else throughout the day. Don't get me wrong, I still enjoy doing game development and making YouTube videos, but I don't want to sit here typing my life away as I spend months making a game, writing a script, recording my voice, editing the video, animating myself, waiting for the animation to render, importing it into DaVinci Resolve, adding background music, posting an announcement, writing a description. Well, with that out of the way, I am currently planning yet another long-term project that'll be even more ambitious than Metro Meltdown. It'll revolve around something in game development I have never attempted before and is known to be one of the hardest things to get right, on top of being the first game I will release on